We're going to deal with the issue of pornography now, and almost half of 18-year-olds, according to a new survey, think that sending sexual images or videos is part of everyday life for teenagers. We have got the psychologist Jo Hemmings here, and Jo's also a relationship expert, for her take on things after we see this report from Tom Cheshire.
People are like having sex from like a younger age because they like watch porn and they're like, right, I'm ready to do it. So
I know people who are like underage who have had sex because, I wouldn't say because of watching it, but it has been influenced. Yeah, like it is influencing it.
These teenagers' concerns aren't unusual. According to a survey, 8 out of 10 18-year-olds think that it's too easy for young people to see pornography online.
To make it a lot harder to access.
like put in like, you know how you have IDs, people should be able to put in IDs because like being able to access it from like when you're 11 years old is just sick.
It's awful.
The ease of access to more explicit pornography is also a worry.
The images and the type of pornography that young people can now access quite readily is much more extreme or violent than young people have been able to access in the past. And I think that's one of the problems. And the other is that in the absence of high quality or good sex and relationship education, many young people are looking to other places to find out.
According to the survey, 46% of 18-year-olds say that sending or receiving sexual images or videos is part of everyday life for teenagers. 72% say that pornography leads to unrealistic attitudes to sex. And 75% of women say pornography has led to pressure on girls and young women to act a certain way. But that doesn't just worry the girls.
It changes young people's minds, their perception on women and how they see them.
Yeah,
completely.
Yeah. My little cousin watching a film and suddenly this pornography ad pops up.
People can also develop anxiety from it as they won't feel pleased with their body as well.
What's really striking about this survey is the extent to which young people feel like they just can't escape online pornography, despite the UK having one of the toughest filtering regimes in the world. This isn't just a technological problem with the internet enabling access. The issues here are wider and to do with society as a whole.
This is just one medium where issues of sexuality and sexual identity and sexual relationships are coming up. So I think it's more about the way we talk about these issues in general as a society and in our families, rather than just something which is to do with technology.
Parents have always been worried about the dangers of pornography. This survey shows that kids are too. Tom Cheshire, Sky News.
Okay, so let's get the take from the relationship psychologist Jo Hemmings with us now. What does this mean for this generation opposed to any of our generations gathered here? Are they more desensitized by sex, or are they more motivated by it?
I think probably I'd err on the desensitized. I think they're confused. I think they're bombarded with pornography, with sexting, with information, the expectations that you should behave like that because of what they see. What's amazing about this survey is you get lots of newspapers, you know, campaigning anti-porn, children mustn't watch it. These are the 18-year-olds themselves. You know, a high percentage disturbed by what they see, disturbed by the ripple effect of the behaviour of that, and, you know, actually feel that it's damaging to them. And this is the very generation that's growing up with it.
But it has to affect them as well. Now, I know I would have been brought up on a diet of Cary Grant movies and Doris Day and whatever, and actually, as a result, I know that I was a very naive, if somewhat romantic, I had a romantic view of women and an idealistic view of women. Surely, I mean, Isabel, you're quite a romantic person as well. Jackie, how are you? All right. Okay. But it has to affect, we all know what you've watched.
I mean, of course, I agree with your point that it must change the way that young people are viewing what a normal relationship is.
I think even if you grew up in a romantic era, you might have had the odd porn magazine and snuck a look at it. But this is permeating through at every level, and it's getting younger and younger. And I think, in fact, what was encouraging, perhaps the only encouraging thing was, I think about 86% of those surveys said they wanted to see relationship education in school. Now, currently, you know, PSHE does not cover, or you're not obliged in schools to cover relationships, how they work, and sex within those relationships.
Now, Jackie, as a parent, and you've got kids reaching this vulnerable age, this has to be a big worry for you.
It is a worry. I've got two boys. One's about to be a teenager. One is already a teenager, and a 16-year-old daughter. And I just wonder how you police this. I mean, it's all very well, Mum going, well, I do not want you taking the iPad and Googling porn sites. I mean, they go, yeah, Mum, as if I would do that. But actually, that's exactly what they would do. So how do you stop them doing that, or sort of speak to them so they don't feel the need?
I think it's, well, that's the point. I think it's very hard to police. That's the problem. I think what we can do is educate. We can give them a sense of perspective, this sense of belittling women. You know, a lot of these girls in this survey were saying, you know, the expectations of sex, expectations of a relationship, you know, are all kind of skewed. So it's managing it, giving kids a perspective. It exists. I don't think we can take it away. It's the unstoppable tap of, you know, online, you know, whatever. But learn how to manage it and get a perspective
it's
of it.
them sending pictures of themselves, and it's leaving themselves exposed and vulnerable to complications with this further down the line.
And that peer group pressure that says, you know, if you don't do it, you know, you're kind of not part of our gang, or you need to do it. It is what I mean, the ripple effect that comes from it. So it's putting all that, not just pornography, all that in perspective, so that, you know, kids are strong enough and have enough self-esteem and self-belief to say no.
And what about the addictive nature of pornography? I mean, we hear a lot about how people become addicted to it. Is there a concern that young people themselves will start from an early age with this kind of addiction that will sort of follow them through?
We do hear it. I suspect addiction to pornography is actually a bit overstated. I think it's quite unusual. What will happen is it just simply skews your perception of the normal world. So normality is shifted onto a very odd place now. So it's, to me, slightly less addiction and more about, you know, not having the reality of the sort of perception anymore.
Jo,
Absolutely.
thanks for your take on things. That's the result of a poll which has found the majority of teenagers think it is too easy for young people to see pornography online, and they think it is putting pressure on their body image and their relationships. Your view at Sunrise Isabel, at Eamon Holmes on Twitter.